Hi everyone, it's Julia here from Little Shop of Nerds, and I am with
Mike, what up?
So last week's hint was World War II.
Today we are going to be talking about a Studio Ghibli film. This one is going to be a little...
This has actually been kind of hard to find. It was one of the first ones, I do believe, that came out. And today we are going to be talking about Grave of the Fireflies.
Now this, like I said, it is a Studio Ghibli film, and this is going to be more of a serious thing, because this is a serious movie we have to talk about, and I think it was it based on a true story, or...
Something like that. Let me actually look it up real quick. I will say though, before I look it up, on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics, out of 49 reviews, it has a 100% rating, and then the audience, out of 10,000 plus ratings, have given it a 95%. So this right here tells you that the audience and the critics pretty much agree on this movie, on how good it is.
Yes.
It was really, really good. It was really, really sad. But the thing is, I didn't cry during it because it didn't hit as hard because I knew it was going to happen, because I've read about it before. I've just never seen it. And I think this is one of the few Studio Ghibli movies that I haven't seen yet. And it is on Netflix. So if y'all haven't seen it yet and want to see it, it's on Netflix.
Yes.
And you guys might, I wanted to, when I was looking up K-pop Demon Hunters, I did see it up on Netflix, and I texted Mike and was like, hey, we should do Grave of the Fireflies next week instead of what we're going to do next week.
Yes.
So y'all might want to get over there to Netflix as soon as possible to watch it if you haven't seen it yet and you want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it didn't hit me as hard as I thought it would, just for the fact that it, I knew it was going to happen. I've seen clips, but this was my actual first time actually watching the movie all the way through.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't cry at it either, but I wanted to, because how hard it hit.
There were definitely some scenes that I
straight up said, Jesus.
Yeah, like it was pretty
intense.
And it just shows how bad how bad World War II was. Granted, I mean, the Allies were fighting against the Axis, Japan was part of the Axis, so, like, I understand.
Yeah, let's not get into
it. But, I mean, it definitely does show the horrors of war. So it is okay. So it's based on. It says here, Grave of the Fireflies is a 1967 semi-autobiographical short story by Japanese author Akiyuki Nosaka. It is based on his experiences before, during, and after the firebombing of Kobe in 1945. One of his sisters died as the result of sickness. His adoptive father died during the firebombing proper, and his younger adoptive sister Keiko died of malnutrition in Fukui. It was written as a personal apology to Keiko regarding her death. So it is based off of someone's
life.
His experience anyway.
Yeah,
the only difference is at the beginning of the movie it does state Saita. I think it was Saita. One of the first things is that he's like, I died on this day. So right there, it just comes off. So the author of the short story didn't die, but the character in the movie did die.
Yes.
At the beginning of the movie.
Now, here's what they did, which I think was really genius. is, you would say maybe the ghosts of the past were highlighted in red. It showed him, Saita,
Saita.
no, healthy, young, wearing his, I would say, work uniform or something.
It seemed like it was more of like a military uniform.
So yeah, kind of like that.
Because his dad was in the military, and so I'm wondering if he was just wearing his dad's old clothes.
That too, and
I think he did want to join the military though, but he wasn't old enough because Saito was only like 15 years old.
yeah, and like I said, they were. Like I said, they're pretty much the ghost of the past, and you can tell when it's the like the ghost when it's highlighted in red, and when they show the past, it's regular color.
Yeah.
Which I think was a genius way to show it.
Yeah. So basically, it starts off. It looks like he's sitting in like a train depot or something. And he had died. Somebody had left food next to him, but of course, he's too far gone to even eat. And then there were a bunch of other children around, orphans most likely, that looked like that they were dead too. And he had like this can of candy. Well, it was an old can that used to have candy in it that he used to give to his sister Setsuko. And the guy that had found his body, threw it outside, and that's when the actual story of how he got there happened. So it shows him burying like food and provisions and stuff in his backyard because they're about to come bomb. His mom was on her way to the shelter, and she left the two children to follow after. I think that was probably to keep them all. It's kind of like what the royal family does. When the royal family flies, they don't fly together. So if one plane goes down,
the other survives.
They have somebody who's surviving.
Yes.
So it was probably something like that, where if something had happened to her, at least her children were surviving.
Yes.
And they do end up making it to the shelter, and he sees their mother. And she's wrapped in bandages. It looked like her entire body had been burned.
Yes, and they did really good on the graphic details. If we showed you, we would have to blur it and everything because of YouTube's guidelines. Let's just say the description is you can see I wouldn't say maybe blood or something like that.
It was definitely blood.
Blood seeping through the bandages. It was. Then after, a day or two, you started seeing maggots.
Maggots crawling all over her body.
Maggots, yeah.
But at that point, she had already died.
And
they went to I think it was Nishiyomi or something like that. Where his aunt lived. I don't know if this was an aunt on his mother's side or his dad's side, but it was an aunt. They went over there, and she agreed to take them in.
But she's also
that didn't come until later. But she agreed to take them in, and then she started to get like really irritated because now she's feeding, two more mouths, and they're not getting enough rations, and she turned into a bitch. A very passive aggressive bitch, because she's like, all you two do is just loaf around all day. You're not doing anything to help contribute.
Yeah, I wouldn't call her a bitch. There's another word I would say. Started with a C.
The see you next Tuesday?
Yep.
I agree with that too. Like, she was very passive aggressive, bitchy.
And one, I get it, it's a war. I get it, they're gonna have to ration food, which everyone was doing during the time. But
we were doing the same thing here in the States too.
Yeah, that's what we were. Like I said, we were doing too.
I think pretty much everybody in the entire world was rationing food at that point.
And she kept saying how her daughter's doing something for What's she doing? You're not explaining anything.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, I guess her husband was in the military or something. Her daughter was doing something. I don't know what her daughter was
She was
doing.
wearing a school uniform.
I mean, that's what it looked like.
And I'm like, okay, is she going to school or is she a nurse?
I don't think she, like, they never really explained it, but they did say that she was going to work. Because even though it looked like a school uniform, doesn't necessarily mean it was a school uniform.
Right.
It was just a popular...
And Saita did mention he worked in a factory since he couldn't go to school as much because of it. And he mentioned he did, but it got, destroyed. Even his school got destroyed, so either sign him up for school or something, or...
So she,
And pretty much you're living in a farming town, so there's hardly any work there.
yeah, so they, eventually, at one point Setsuko had said that they were having rice porridge for breakfast, and she said that she didn't like rice porridge, and Saito's like, well, we'll have onigiri, rice balls for, lunch, and she goes, no, and then the aunt's like, no, we won't. She's like, you're having rice porridge again, and then that's when she, like, started going on her tirade about how she, they don't do anything but loaf around and everything. And she's like, you guys can just eat separately from now on. So he went out and he withdrew he went and found out that his mom had like 7,000 yen saved up in their bank, which nowadays it doesn't seem a lot, but like in the 40s,
it was.
7,000 was a lot.
Yeah.
Because he had said that was a lot of money.
Yeah, and you can stretch that out for a few...
Yeah, so...
For a while,
yeah, they were... So, like, the aunt was, like, sold his mom's kimonos. She had also... Yeah, to get more food.
And kilos of rice, right?
Yeah.
And, like, the little sister mentions, like, how... Something about the rice, and she's like... Their aunt's like, you saying I'm cheating you out? And I'm like, well, one, they sold their mother's kimono. In my opinion, you should at least give them half.
Yeah. And that was around the time that she's like, well, you guys can just go ahead and eat separately then. So he used some of that money to buy like a little stove, and food and stuff like that. And he started cooking for him and Setsuko. And you could hear like the daughter just laying into her mother. And she's like, well, all they had to do was apologize and I would have started feeding them again. And so then every time there was like a firebombing, his priority is to keep his little sister safe. That is his job. And the aunt got really like bitchy about it because him and his sister were running off to a cave to protect, and they're chewing, to, protect his sister. And she's like, well, why don't you guys just go ahead and live at the cave and, anyways. And so, you know what? He did. Mm-hmm. He moved his sister into that cave. And then that's when things started going downhill. The aunt, like, she didn't really seem to care either way.
No.
Because he told her, he's like, yeah, we're moving out. And she's like, oh, well, where are you going? He goes, I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. So, everything seemed fine to start off, and then things started to go downhill. Like his sister, she talked about how her poop was watery, so she was having diarrhea. They were getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, rashes, all of that. And
I don't know, that rash did not look like flea rash or mosquito rash. That looked like radioactive rash.
Well, I mean, the bombs that they were dropping, though, were just like, they just seemed like fire bombs.
That too, but who knows? But that rash did not look like mosquitoes or flea rashes. I don't know, and
they both had those bites, though.
Yeah, but then again, the doctor says it's from lack of nutrition. I'm like,
Yeah, he ended up taking his sister to to the doctor towards the end, and he was like, yeah, your sister's suffering from malnutrition. And he's like, well, what does that mean? And he's like, well, she needs nourishment. Because she's a young girl, because she's at least 10 years younger than Saita. And she, but, so, after they had moved in with their aunt, like, everything seemed fine. And so he went back to their place, because their house had burned down. He went back to their place, dug up all the provisions, took them, to the aunt's house, and gave it to his aunt, so they could eat. And I think it was with the porridge, that rice porridge, that one day when she basically said that she didn't want to cook for them anymore. He's like, well, do we have any of those plums left, or the sour plums, or the pickled plums? And she's like, no, we ran out of those weeks ago. And I'm like,
I think really, and I'm like, when she said that, I'm like, did they really ran out of weeks ago, or are you just saying that?
Yeah, and so when he was pulling up all the provisions, that's when he found like the little metal tin of fruit drops, I think is what they were called.
Yes.
And he was giving, every time his sister would get upset, he would give her one. And eventually they ran out because, so at one point they did start stealing crops.
Mm-hmm.
And then his sister, he got caught stealing a stalk of sugar because his sister needed it. And the farmer beat the shit out of him, took him to the police station, and then the officer was like, dude, you just beat up a minor, and that's not right.
Oh, yeah, he flashes his sword and be like, trying to tell him to go.
Yeah, so, every time there was a bombing, I think he was going to his aunt's house and stealing from his aunt.
Oh, I think he was going through every house, but I think it was normally the aunt.
Yeah, he was going through some houses and he was like stealing and stuff. But eventually, he took her to the doctor. He found out what was going on. He withdrew the rest of their money from the bank, and then he found out that the war was over. And then he did find out that his father had passed away because they had, both him and his aunt had sent letters to his dad. Like, hey, this is what's going on. We need you to come home. Mom's dead. All that. And they found out that he had passed away as well. And then he put down Setsuko and he came back. And he gave her some watermelon. He's like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cook dinner. Just wait a little bit longer. And then he said that she never woke up again. So,
and
she passed away from malnutrition.
And he cremated her, and then after he said he cremated her, and it shows the end of the movie. Them sitting on a bench in a modern day, I think, was it Tokyo?
It was probably Tokyo.
And a modern...
I wouldn't say it was modern day.
Well, I wouldn't say it was 1940s either.
Yeah, anyways, it looked like it was probably Tokyo. And, yeah, because he had put her ashes into the little fruit drop tin.
Yep.
He was carrying a wooden box around with him, and I think that probably had their mom's ashes in it.
And she found out a while ago that her mother died.
Yeah, the aunt told her.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, the aunt was a bitch. Mm-hmm. See you next Tuesday. We're not going to say the word on YouTube. But she definitely, that aunt was definitely a piece of work.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it did hit hard, but it didn't hit as hard because I knew what was going to happen. I had already known everything.
Yeah.
but it was, and it's kind of like fucked up because the aunt, she was the one that drove them
away
to do this. Because even at one point she's like, well, don't you have your mom's relatives in Tokyo? And he's like, well, I don't know the address. So right there she was trying to get rid of them pretty often. She got upset one night because Setsuko was crying, but I mean, she's like a 5-6-year-old girl. I mean, 4 or 5, what does she expect?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can actually find their ages. Because that was just like, yeah, so it came out in 1988. It says the film is set in Kobe shortly after its bombing by the U.S. Army Air Forces and follows 2 orphan siblings who desperately struggle to survive during the final months of the Pacific War. So it made 1.7 billion yen and 4.7 million overseas. Let's see. So, okay, so there's like 3 different voice actors, like English voice actors for. Okay, so so this movie's been dubbed 3 times in English. In 1998, 2012, and 2025. And I did not know that Seraphim and Sentai did Sentai Filmworks did that. Okay, so it does not say. Let me see. Okay, so it doesn't say how long or how old they were. I mean, oh, so we were both kind of wrong. It says their spirits, healthy and content, arrive at their destination, a hilltop bench overlooking present-day Kobe, surrounded by fireflies. So it wasn't Tokyo. It was
Kobe.
It was present-day Kobe. That's why it looked so modern. So you were kind of right, and I was kind of right. So
yeah, either way,
you said it was present day. But yeah, so yeah, Saita dies of starvation a few weeks later at a Sanomiya train station surrounded by other malnourished people. A janitor tasked with removing the bodies before the Americans' arrival sorts through Saita's possessions. He finds the candy tin and throws it into a field. Setsuko's ashes spread out, and her spirit springs from the container, joined by Saita's spirit and a cloud of fireflies. The 2 board a ghostly train, and throughout the journey look back at the events leading to Saita's death as silent, passive observers. That was at the beginning of the movie. So, it was definitely. I'm gonna say I think they did mention that he was 15, and Setsuko did seem extremely young. So I'm gonna say that she was anywhere from 4 to 6 years old. She was small enough that he could carry her on his back. And it was sad.
Sad movie, bro.
Yeah. So, like I said, if you guys want to see it, it is on Netflix right now. Don't know how long it'll be on Netflix, but it is on Netflix.
It is a short film, so.
An hour and a half.
Yep. And I give the movie a 10 out of 10.
Oh, I definitely give it a 10 out of 10 too. It was just.
Yep.
This is one of the one of the few I haven't seen yet
Me neither.
And so I'm just glad that it was on Netflix, and we were finally able to see it.
Yep.
Because it's as far as I know, it's not on Max or HBO Max. I don't even know what they call themselves now.
Who knows? Who cares? They fucking took all the good cartoons from Cartoon Network off it.
Yeah, they.
What the hell, guys? Look.
Yeah, so it is on. Oh, okay. It's on Netflix and it's on Amazon Prime Video.
Yep.
From $1.99 if you guys have Amazon and want to watch it there.
Yep.
But yeah, so that is Grave of the Fireflies. I can now cross this off my list.
Same. Yeah. What's next week's hint, Jules?
So next week's hint is going to be Cat. We're doing another Studio Ghibli movie.
Yep.
So this was originally what we were going to do this week, but Grave of the Fireflies I saw.
Yeah, we decided to change it up.
Yeah. So, like, subscribe, comment below if you've seen Grave of the Fireflies, and if, you know, what you think about it.
If you hate the ant, put it down in the comments.
Because I definitely hate the ant. Mike does too.
Fuck that bitch.
So, anyways, we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.